Amid the chaos of the Roman Civil War, one battle stood out as a crucial turning point. A clash that not only showcased Julius Caesar's military genius but also solidified his path to absolute power. The Battle of Murcia, often overshadowed by other more famous campaigns, was a confrontation that proved decisive in Caesar's struggle to dominate Rome. But what exactly happened on that battlefield, and how did Caesar's strategies ensure his victory? The Battle of Murcia was more than just another military win. It was a calculated strategic move that highlighted Caesar's ability to exploit his enemies' weaknesses and turn obstacles into opportunities. Through precise, tactical maneuvers and a deep understanding of the terrain and his troops' morale, Caesar managed not only to win, but also to destabilize his opponents, further solidifying his control over Rome's fate. In this video, we'll take a detailed look at the strategies that led to Caesar's victory at Murcia and explore the impact of this battle on the Roman Civil War and Caesar's rise as the undisputed leader of the Republic. Get ready to see how a single battle can change the course of history and define the future of an empire. The context of the Roman Civil War: tension and power struggles. The Roman Civil War, which began in 49 BC, was a period of intense political and military conflicts that shook the foundations of the Roman Republic. Tensions had been building long before the first clash, with the growing rivalry between Julius Caesar, an ambitious and charismatic general, and Pompey, a former ally turned enemy. The dissolution of the First Triumvirate, which also included Crassus, left Rome in a state of uncertainty and instability, with power increasingly concentrated in the hands of a few. As Caesar crossed the Rubicon with his troops, he uttered the famous phrase, "Alia iacta est," the die is cast, marking the start of the war that would forever change Rome's history. The escalation of the conflict reflected a scenario where different factions were fighting for control of the Republic, each representing distinct visions and interests. On one side, Caesar was seen as a champion of popular reforms, supported by a significant portion of the army and the lower classes. On the other side, Pompey represented the senatorial elite, who feared Caesar's growing power and saw him as a threat to the traditional order. This clash was not only military but also ideological, with both sides seeking to legitimize their cause before the Senate and the Roman people. The Battle of Murcia fits into this context of fierce conflict. Located in Hispania, a region strategic both geographically and politically, Murcia was a stage where Caesar could consolidate his position or risk losing everything. To understand the significance of this battle, it is crucial to grasp the desperate situation Caesar was in. Hispania, rich in resources and with a vital strategic position, was a region Caesar needed to control to secure supply routes and logistical support for his campaign. As the war intensified, alliances became more volatile. Caesar knew that a decisive blow in Hispania could significantly alter the balance of power, destabilizing Pompey and his allies. With this goal in mind, Caesar prepared for a confrontation that would require all his military skill and political cunning. The Battle of Murcia, therefore, was not just a physical clash, but also a strategic move on the Civil War chessboard. As Caesar prepared for battle, Pompey's forces were also mobilizing, fully aware of the region's importance. The tension was palpable, with both sides understanding that the outcome of this confrontation could very well decide Rome's fate. Murcia, a battle often overlooked in traditional narratives, was about to become a turning point in the civil war that would shape the future of the Roman Empire. Preparation for the battle: Caesar and his enemies in Murcia. As Caesar's troops advanced towards Murcia, preparations for the battle began long before the first clash of swords. Caesar was known for his meticulousness and his ability to anticipate the enemy's movements. He understood that to win, he needed not just strength but strategy. The campaign in Hispania had been carefully planned, with Caesar studying both the terrain and the composition of enemy forces. He knew that to secure victory, he would need to leverage every possible advantage, from the terrain to the morale of his troops. Caesar faced not only the resistance of local forces, but also the shadow of Pompey's legion, which still had many sympathizers and allies in the region. For Caesar, Victory in Murcia would not just be a territorial gain, but a psychological blow against his adversaries. He needed to undermine the enemy's confidence, starting well before the actual battle, through intimidation tactics and maneuvers designed to confuse and demoralize opposing forces. Caesar sent spies and scouts to survey the terrain and gather crucial information about the enemy's positions and intentions. As Caesar prepared his troops, the enemy leaders loyal to Pompey were also moving to protect their positions. They knew they were at a disadvantage in terms of numbers and military experience, but relied on their familiarity with the terrain and local support. The resistance they would face in Murcia would be fierce, with each side trying to exploit the other's weaknesses. Pompey's forces were aware that a defeat in Murcia could mean the collapse of their campaign in Hispania, and thus, they were prepared to fight to the last man. Caesar's preparation for the battle included bolstering the morale of his troops, many of whom were veterans of previous campaigns and loyal to him personally. He knew that the cohesion and confidence of his men would be crucial to success. In the days leading up to the battle, Caesar focused on speeches and drills that reinforced the unity and determination of his soldiers. He used his oratory skills to inspire his troops, reminding them of past victories and the importance of the upcoming battle. Ultimately, Caesar's preparation for Murcia culminated in a series of maneuvers and positions that showcased his tactical genius. He knew that choosing the right moment to attack would be crucial and waited patiently until conditions were ideal. The battle to come would not just be a clash of forces, but a demonstration of Caesar's mastery of the art of war. Murcia would be the stage where he would show the Roman world why he was considered one of the greatest generals of his time. Terrain analysis. Geography as a strategic ally. One of the crucial aspects that contributed to Caesar's victory at Murcia was his deep understanding of the terrain. The geography of the region played a vital role in Caesar's military strategy, as he always knew how to turn the environment into a tactical advantage. Murcia, with its specific natural features, presented both challenges and opportunities, and Caesar was determined to exploit every aspect to his benefit. Hills, rivers, and valleys set the stage for this battle, and Caesar, with his keen eye, knew how to position his troops so that the terrain became an invisible ally. Caesar's first step was to secure elevated positions for his forces. He understood that having the advantage of height would allow his archers and soldiers to observe and react to enemy movements more efficiently. Additionally, the hills surrounding Murcia provided natural defense, making it difficult for Pompey's forces to advance. Caesar also used the riverbanks, which cut through the region, as a natural barrier, forcing his enemies to move through more predictable and controllable routes. The positioning of the troops was not random. Every movement was calculated to maximize the natural advantages of the terrain. Caesar knew that the local defender's familiarity with the terrain could be a disadvantage if he did not take proactive measures. To neutralize this advantage, he sent scouts to map the area in detail, identifying all the points that could be used for both attack and defense. This knowledge allowed Caesar to devise a battle plan that took into account every elevation, every ravine, turning the geography of Murcia into an integral part of his combat strategy. He also utilized the local vegetation to camouflage movements and set up ambushes, keeping the enemy in a constant state of alert and uncertainty. The strategic use of the terrain was complemented by a deep understanding of the region's climatic conditions. Caesar considered the dry climate and high temperatures, which could quickly wear down troops if not managed carefully. He organized marches and positions according to the cooler parts of the day, avoiding excessive exhaustion of his men and using environmental conditions as another weapon against the enemy. Fatigue and dehydration could be fatal for Pompey's forces, who were not as well prepared to deal with the intense heat. In the end, Caesar's mastery of the terrain proved to be a decisive factor in the Battle of Murcia. His ability to use geography to his advantage, rather than simply fighting against it, was a testament to his military genius. Caesar demonstrated that victory in battle depended not only on brute force, but also on the ability to understand and manipulate the environment. Murcia became a classic example of how geographic strategy can be decisive in determining the outcome of a conflict. especially when executed with the precision and cunning of a commander like Caesar. Caesar's tactical maneuvers, from precise calculations to rapid decisions. Julius Caesar's military genius was brilliantly displayed during the Battle of Murcia, not only in his choice of terrain, but also in the tactical maneuvers he employed to destabilize and defeat his enemies. Caesar was always known for his ability to make quick and effective decisions, adapting to changes on the battlefield with near-surgical precision. At Murcia, this skill was put to the test, resulting in a series of strategic moves that left Pompey's forces at a disadvantage from the outset. One of Caesar's primary tactics was the use of surprise attacks to disrupt enemy lines. He knew that Pompey's strength lay in the discipline and organization of his troops, so he aimed to break this structure with unexpected and rapid movements. Caesar began the battle with a sudden assault on the enemy's left flank, where they were least protected. This initial strike caught Pompey's forces off guard, forcing them to react in a disorganized manner. The ensuing chaos allowed Caesar to press further, maneuvering his troops with agility to strike at weak points in the center and the right flank. Another brilliant maneuver by Caesar was the feigned retreat. At a critical point in the battle, he ordered part of his troops to simulate a strategic withdrawal. The enemy, believing they were on the verge of victory, pursued the retreating soldiers, abandoning their fortified positions. However, this movement was a carefully planned trap. When Pompey's troops moved away from their defenses, Caesar launched a massive attack with his main forces, which had been hidden nearby. This enveloping maneuver demoralized the enemy, who found themselves surrounded and unable to respond cohesively. Caesar also employed the technique of fragmenting enemy forces, dividing his troops into smaller groups to attack simultaneously at different points. This tactic confused the enemy, forcing them to split their attention and resources, making them vulnerable on multiple fronts. Fragmentation prevented Pompey from concentrating his forces in a single decisive strike, compelling him to fight in several directions at once. Caesar took advantage of this dispersion to focus his forces on a specific point, where he was able to break through defenses and initiate the collapse of enemy lines. Moreover, Caesar demonstrated an incredible ability to recognize the exact moment to deliver the final blow. He did not rush, patiently waiting until Pompey's troops were sufficiently demoralized and weakened. When he determined that the time was right, Caesar ordered a full-scale attack, mobilizing all his forces simultaneously. This coordinated assault was devastating, destroying enemy lines and securing victory at Murcia. Caesar's precision in executing his tactics showed why he was considered one of the greatest strategists of his time. Thus, the Battle of Murcia was not just a clash of forces, but a masterful demonstration of military tactics. Every move by Caesar was calculated to maximize confusion and disorder within the enemy ranks, while he kept his own troops organized and disciplined. The victory at Murcia was a testament to how intelligence, adaptability, and speed could be as crucial as the number of soldiers in a war. Caesar emerged from this confrontation not only as the victor, but as an unbeatable strategist, further solidifying his path to absolute power. The role of morale and leadership in victory. The morale of troops is often an underestimated factor in battles, but Caesar always understood its fundamental importance. In the Battle of Murcia, the high morale of his soldiers was one of the pillars that supported his victory. Caesar was more than just a strategist. He was a leader who inspired confidence and loyalty in his men. His presence on the battlefield, alongside his soldiers, reinforced the belief that they were fighting for a just cause under the command of an invincible leader. This confidence, fueled by years of victories and motivational speeches, made his troops almost unshakable in the face of challenges. During the campaign, Caesar made a point of interacting directly with his men, motivating them with words that reminded them of past achievements and promises of future glory. He understood that soldiers with high morale fought with more determination and courage, willing to face any adversity. Caesar had the gift of turning an army into a cohesive force, where each soldier felt part of something greater. At Murcia, this cohesion was crucial. Even in the face of difficulties, Caesar's troops maintained discipline and confidence, following his orders with precision and determination. Caesar's leadership was also decisive in the most critical moments of the battle. When the front lines began to face intense resistance, Caesar did not hesitate to make himself visible to his soldiers, leading attacks and coordinating the defense. His willingness to risk his own life alongside ordinary men not only inspired his troops, but also intimidated the enemy. Seeing Caesar in action, unshaken and resolute, gave his soldiers the certainty that victory was possible. His leadership was the glue that kept the army united, even under the most adverse conditions. In addition to boosting the morale of his own troops, Caesar used his leadership to demoralize the enemy. He knew that troops with low morale were more likely to make mistakes, retreat, or even surrender. Caesar seized every opportunity to weaken the spirit of Pompey's soldiers, using tactics that increased the sense of uncertainty and fear among the adversaries. The swift maneuvers and unexpected attacks were not just military moves. They served to undermine the confidence of the enemies, who found themselves increasingly cornered and without escape. In the end, Caesar's victory at Murcia was both a victory of morale and strategy. His soldiers, driven by unwavering confidence in their leader, fought with an intensity that the adversaries simply could not match. Caesar's leadership, marked by courage, closeness to his men, and a deep understanding of the psychological factor in warfare, ensured that Pompey's forces were defeated not only physically, but also spiritually. Murcia became a classic example of how leadership can be the difference between victory and defeat on the battlefield. Immediate consequences: undermining Caesar's opponents. Caesar's victory at the Battle of Murcia had immediate repercussions felt throughout Hispania and beyond. Defeating Pompey's forces at such a strategic point not only secured control of a vital region, but also inflicted a devastating psychological impact on his enemies. News of the victory spread rapidly, weakening Pompey's alliances and sowing doubt among those who were still hesitant to choose a side in the civil war. Murcia marked the beginning of a series of collapses in resistance against Caesar. With the defeat at Murcia, Pompey's supporters in Hispania began to lose faith in the cause. Many local leaders, who had previously been inclined to support Pompey, started to reconsider their alliances, realizing that the tide of the war was turning in Caesar's favor. Desertion among Pompey's ranks increased, while new allies began to emerge for Caesar, drawn by the promise of being on the winning side. Thus, Murcia was not just a territorial victory, it was a blow to the very foundations of Pompey's power. Caesar capitalized on the disorganization of his enemies to further advance his positions in Hispania. With Pompey's forces destabilized, Caesar was able to subjugate other cities and fortresses with less resistance. Each subsequent victory further expanded his control, consolidating his presence in the region and cutting off the supply lines and communication of the remnants of Pompey's forces. The Murcia campaign became a domino effect, where each success facilitated the next, accelerating the fall of what remained of the opposition in Hispania. The political consequences were also immediate. In the Senate in Rome, Pompey's allies began to lose confidence, while Caesar's sympathizers gained strength. The victory at Murcia gave Caesar the momentum needed to further solidify his position as a military and political leader. His enemies, perceiving the growing threat he represented, began to worry about the prospect of Caesar marching on Rome with an invincible army. Murcia made the possibility of Caesar becoming the supreme ruler of Rome shift from a mere fear to an imminent reality. Internally, the victory also strengthened the loyalty of Caesar's soldiers. Seeing their commander achieve such a decisive victory increased their confidence in his ability to lead and win under any circumstance. This renewed confidence was crucial for the subsequent campaigns, as Caesar's soldiers, now imbued with a sense of invincibility, were ready to face any challenge in their leader's name. Murcia, thus, was not just a battle. It was a turning point that solidified Caesar as the indisputable leader in the civil war that was about to determine Rome's future. Consolidation of power: how Murcia strengthened Caesar. The victory at the Battle of Murcia was not just a military triumph. It was a crucial milestone in consolidating Julius Caesar's power over Rome. By defeating Pompey in Hispania, Caesar eliminated one of the main sources of resistance against his rise, paving the way for his almost uncontested dominance over the Roman Republic. Murcia demonstrated to both allies and enemies that Caesar was not just a talented general, but an unbeatable leader, capable of turning challenges into opportunities and setbacks into victories. After the battle, Caesar's influence grew significantly. His ability to subjugate Hispania efficiently and swiftly solidified his reputation as Rome's most powerful leader. Many who had previously hesitated to support him began to reconsider their positions, seeing Caesar as the inevitable leader of Rome's future. The power he had accumulated through years of military campaigns and political alliances now manifested in a form few could contest. Murcia served as a symbol of this shift, a tangible proof that Caesar was destined to rule. Beyond the immediate impact, the victory at Murcia also strengthened Caesar's power base in other ways. Control over Hispania not only secured essential resources, but also ensured vital supply routes for Caesar's future campaigns. The region became a secure stronghold from which he could plan and launch operations against any other enemy daring to challenge him. The dominance over Hispania, consolidated by the victory at Murcia, provided Caesar with the stability needed to focus on other challenges, knowing his bases were secure. The victory also allowed Caesar to consolidate his authority over the Roman Senate. Before Murcia, many senators still viewed Caesar as a military leader who needed to be contained or negotiated with. After the battle, this view changed drastically. With Pompey weakened, the Senate had to accept the reality that Caesar was becoming the supreme leader of Rome. Any future resistance would be seen as futile, leading many senators to align with Caesar rather than risking being crushed like his predecessors. In summary, the Battle of Murcia was more than a military clash. It was a turning point in Roman history. Caesar used this victory to cement his position as the unquestionable leader of the Roman Republic, setting the stage for his eventual transformation into perpetual dictator. The consolidation of power that followed the victory at Murcia showed that Caesar was not just a conqueror, but a visionary who knew how to leverage each victory to build a lasting empire. Murcia marked the beginning of this new era, where Rome would start its transition from republic to empire under Caesar's command.